So what happens if there are multiple errors in this program? What will happen? Only, oh, I did not save the file. It's important to save the file. What will happen now? So it tells me there's an error here. Like we looked earlier, in the line 2, there's an error. There's an error in this particular method where the spelling of this thing is wrong. So this happens. The compiler tells you, hey, you have made a mistake in your program. Please correct it. Is it okay? Please correct this mistake. So after I correct this mistake, I save it and I run it. What happens? Java creates a .class file for me. The Java compiler creates a .class file for me. What does this class file called? Bytecode. This is very important for the interview point of view. A lot of people ask this in the interview. So what are the different files that are generated, right? So in Java, when we run Java C, what is generated? Bytecode. And the name of the file is file name .class. Whatever the name was .java, a file with the same name .class is generated. Now, so every particular operating system type has its own JVM type, right? Has its own JVM type. For mobile, there's a different Java virtual machine. For Mac, there's a different Java virtual machine. So this is a MacBook. There's a different Java virtual machine. When I install JRE, I get a different set of machine, which is dependent to the operating system. So if the operating system is mobile, I will have a different Java virtual machine. If you are running the same program on Windows OS, I'll have a different virtual machine. But I can run the same bytecode, same class, this particular same class on this particular same class. I can run on Windows, I can run on Unix or Linux, I can run on MacBook, I can run on OS. I just need to have a device, a Windows laptop with JVM installed on it, and it will run this program for me. Same program. So let's say I wrote this program on MacBook. Now if I send this program .class file to a Windows operating system and I simply do open terminal and I do Java, my first program, it will work in the Windows as well, right? So this is how Java works. What is next? So what all is there in a Java program? What we wrote a small first program right now, a simple program. We wrote a simple program, but what all is there in this program? What are the different things that are there in this program? Let's look at it one by one. So Java has the following things: operators, constants, variables. We always worry about the definitions of these things. What is an operator? What is a constant? What are variables? What are statements, method, classes, right? So we'll make it very simple, right? We'll not worry about the definition for now. We'll see the practical things, right? What are all these things? Why are they important, right? So what are operators, right? Are the operators different in Java than the normal operators you've seen? all of us have been doing mathematics from the first class. We have added two numbers, what is plus, what is minus, what is multiplication, what is division, right? So all these things are nothing but operators. Got it? What are constants then? Constants are nothing but they're specific values that will never change. So like your name, the spelling of your name is a constant. Your age, your actual age, let's say 21, 22 years, that is a value, is a constant, right? We'll look at those examples now. What are variables, right? Variables is nothing but a particular point in the memory where information is saved. We look at what are variables as well, what are statements, methods, and classes, and how do they combine to form a Java program, right? So these are the smallest units in a program. All of them combine to form a statement, right? Multiple statements combine to form a method, and multiple methods combine to form a classes, right? So mm, so if I have a box here, a big box, right? I have a smaller box in this, and another smaller box in this, right? And then I have an even smaller box in this, right? So let's say I have something called as 1, 2, 3, right? And I have something else called as 4, 5, 6. I have these two integer values. Just these two integer values. There are two values that are called 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. Two numbers. So these numbers, will they ever change now? No. So they are called constants. They're called constants. So what if I say I want to add these numbers. I want to add these numbers. I want to add these two numbers. So now when I want to add these two numbers, I need an operator, which is nothing but a operator. So this is an operator, plus is an operator. These are constants, right? Now where will I store this variable? I need memory in the computer to save the answer of 1, 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6, don't I? Now if you are writing or you're calculating something, don't you write it on a piece of paper, you add two numbers, and then you write the answer. But where will you save it? You need to save it somewhere. For that we take a memory in the computer. How do we take the memory in the computer? We declare a variable, and we'll save the answer of that particular problem in the variable, right? So we take another variable, let's call it a, and it's equal to 1, 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6. What is the answer? 579. Now my answer is stored in the variable, right? So what does it become? A is equal to 1 2 3 plus 4 5 6 followed by a semicolon. This is nothing but a, what is this now? Now I have combined, I have used an operator, I have used constant, and I have used a variable. And this, the combination of this becomes a statement. This is nothing but a statement. What is a statement? 1 2 3, A is equal to 4 5 6. Now if I have multiple statements like this, right? If I have multiple statements like this, I put it, where do I put these statements? I put it in a method. Every Java program should have a method. What is that method? Void main, right? So all these things will come under this method. And where will this method go? It will go inside this, inside a class, like class my first program. That's it. So a class has method has constant and variables and operators, or combination of them as called as statements, right? This is how the program is structured. What is next? Now we have Java tokens. So all the variables, operators, keywords, literals, they are also called as Java tokens, right? Everything in Java, variables, operators, and keywords, literals are called tokens. So what is a variable? What is a variable, right? What is a operator? What are keywords and what are literals? Let's have a look at them. So literals are nothing but they represent specific actual values. So like your actual age, your name, right? A string, a boolean value, anything that is a constant is called a literal. And where are these literals saved? They're saved in the memory, right? They're saved in the memory. So let's assume this is a computer. This is what? This is a computer. Now computer has two main parts, a memory, right? The other is a processor or CPU. So the JVM executes here inside this CPU. Now what does the JVM do? JVM takes an instruction and executes it. Now where does it save the answer? In the memory. Each memory has a address, right? So all the values are saved inside the memory, right? So anything that is constant, that is a value, is called a literal. So if you look at this, anything, any number, any program that you see in your program, true, false, whatever it is, it's called a literal. And where are literal saved? They're saved in the memory locations, right? What are variables then? Now when I save, okay, let's say you want to send your friend to your home, right? And you have seen your friend knows your home, he knows where do you live, right? He has been there before. Now you want to call him to your home. So what do you say? Hey, come to my home in the evening? Or do you say, come to flat number 403 at this particular road on and in Hafizpet? Do you say the complete address? Do you say, come to flat number 403 in Janapriya Apartments, Karnool? Do you say this? Or what do you say? You simply say, come to my home, right? Similar way, the computer, we now when we declare a variable and we want to use it, right? Now we want to use that particular value, a constant. We want to maybe add two numbers, right? Now if we want to add two numbers, what do? We take two numbers, 1 and 2. Now every time I don't want to say, oh hey, go to that address in the memory and get 1. So I give it a name. Let's say var1 or var2, right? I can give it any name I want to, and there are few rules which we'll see later. So I give it a name var1 which points to a particular memory. What does it say? It says, hey, go to that memory and get this literal. So my memory address is this. Now what does JVM say? JVM says, hey, var1 was 12. It is saved in this address. So JVM says, hey, give me var1. And what does it do? It returns 12. Right? So we had saved 12 in var1. It simply goes and it says save 12. Right? Now what are operators then? What are they important? Now we took two numbers, var1 and var2. Now if we want to add these two numbers, what do I do? How do I tell the computer I want to add these two numbers? So simply we use operators for that, for different things. So if we want to tell the computer to do arithmetic, that is mathematic operations, we simply say for addition use this symbol. For subtraction, if I say a minus b, you subtract two numbers. If I say multiplication, you multiply two numbers. If I say division, you divide two numbers. So let's look at an example for this now. So first thing is I take a variable. Forget the int part for now. Let's simply take a variable var1, right? Let's take another variable var2, 13. Now what happens? I tell reserve memory and put 12 in it. Again reserve a variable and put 13 in it. So what is 12? 12 is a literal. 12 is what? Literal. What is var1? What is var1? Var1 is a variable. Then we put 13. Similarly, what is 13 here? 13 is a literal or constant value, right? What is var2? Var2 is a variable. Now, what do I want to do? I want to add these two numbers. So I take a third variable and I say var1 plus var2. Now I want to output the answer somewhere. So I simply write print var3. Print var3. Now what do? I run this program. How do I run it? Java C. What was the name? My first program. My first program dot Java. It tells me there's an error. I did not comment it. Oh. So in a Java program, if you put double forward slashes anywhere, the compiler does not compile this particular part. It says, it understands, okay, this part is commented out, right? I am not going to execute these statements. The compiler simply ignores it. It says, I will not execute these statements. These are comments for understanding the problems. When I run this, what happens? Save. I have to save it. Always remember, saving the program. It compiles. Now I run it. What are we adding? 12 plus 13, which is nothing but 25, right? So what if I want to print what I am adding also? Sum of, I can join the values with plus symbol inside this. What is this? Var1 and var2 is now what will this output? Sum of 12, var1 has 12 and var2, what does var2 have? 13 is this. Save it, compile it again and run it. Sum of 12 and 13 is 25. Sum of 12 and 13 is 25. Now what if I want to subtract it? I want to subtract these two. I want to subtract 13 out of 12. What do? I simply declare another variable var4, just nothing, var2 minus var1. Now what do I want to do? I have to display the output. I simply say system.out.print difference of var2 and var1 is 4. Save it. What will this do? It will subtract var1 from var2. It will subtract 12 from 13. So run it. So 13 minus 12 is 1. Right? The first statement was add two numbers, then subtract two numbers. Now let's say I take another variable var5. It is nothing but 20. Right? And I take another variable var6, which is nothing but 10. Now I want to divide var5 by var6. What happens? I take a variable var7 and I say var5 divided by var6. What is 20 divided by 10? It is 2. I simply say var5 divided by var6 is equal to var7, isn't it? Save it, compile it again. When we compile it, it creates the bytecode again, dot class file. What do we get when we do javac my first program dot java? We get this class file, right? If we run this program now, 20 divided by 10 is 2. 20 divided by 10 is 2. Now, what is this modulus operator? And why do we need it? Right? What is this modulus operator now? Where did it come from? So let's say we have two variables where 8 which is equal to 21 and int where 9 which is again equal to 10, right? Now if I divide 21 by 10, what will happen? 10 into 2 is 20, right? So what will be the remainder? Remainder will be 1. If I divide 21 by 10, 10 into 2 is 20. Remainder will be 1. Won't it be? So how do we divide two numbers? We write 21 here, we write 10 here. 10 into 2 is what? 20. What is the remainder? 1. Hello? 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 Yeah, I think there was some issue with the connection. Okay, I think I'm back in. Okay, so what is 21 divided by? We're looking at this, right? So 21 divided by 2 is 20 divided by 10 is we get 1 as remainder. So the percentage, so if I say 21% 10, what do I get? I get 1. It gives me the remainder. So percentage is nothing but remainder, right? So let's try this out. System dot out dot print. What do we use to print the variables? Everything we use print. What are we doing? Okay, first let's save the answer. Int where 10 is equal to 21% 10, right? What is this? If we say var 8 plus percent plus var 9, right? What are we doing? 10. We are trying to find the remainder of this when we divide 21 by 10. Acha, what if we do this also? System dot out dot print var 5 plus percent plus var 6 20% 10. Let's take another variable int var 11. We do var 5%, var 8%, var 9, and var 5%, var 6. Nothing but 20% 10, and this is nothing but 21% 10. Whatever is after double forward slash means it will not be considered as a part of the program. It is only for your understanding. Right? So, what is this? Var 11. So, what do we get? Let's save it and let's see. Compile the program again and then we run it. So, 21% 10 is 1. We just saw, right? If we divide 21 by 10, what do we get? 2s are 20. What is remaining? 1. Same output, right? If we divide 20% 10, then 10 completely divide. If this was 20, what will be the remainder? 0. Got it? So, what are the next two operations? Next one is increment and decrement. So, what do increment and decrement do? What do increment and decrement do? So, let's take another variable 12 and let's put 1 into this. Now, if I say var 12 plus plus, what does this mean? This increments the value saved at variable 12 or var 12 by 1. So, if I now do system.out.print and then var 2 plus value of var 12 is, right, normally the value would be 1, but what happens? We did, let's do it this way. Let's print the value first and then system.out.println value of var 12 after plus plus operation. What does it become? Var, what will be the output? Let's see. I made a spelling mistake. I missed a S here. So value of 12 was 1. Now value of var 12 after plus plus operation is 2. See, the value of var was 1. I assigned 1 here. Now after I did a plus plus operation, the value became 2. Can you see? So what would happen if I, instead of plus plus, if I did minus minus? If I did minus minus, what would happen? Did I save it? Compile it again and run it again. What was var1? var12 1. After minus minus operation it became 0. So if I do minus minus, it becomes var12. So what does it become equal to? What is this statement equal to? Isn't it equal to var12 is equal to var12 minus 1? Aren't these two statements equal? Got it? These two statements are equal. So these are the arithmetic operations possible in Java. Are there any doubts? Anybody? If there are doubts, please feel free to write in the chat box. Now, the next thing is relational operators, right? So we'll probably take up a new file for that. So this class name should be same as the file name. What is the file name? Relation OP. This class name should also be relation OP. This is very important. If this is not the same, what will happen? Let's see. Let's see. We have a different file name. Let's change it to something totally different. My app. Okay. What happens now? No error. But when it tried to run this program, sorry, my first program dot Java. No. What is the name of the file? Relation txt. Okay. Now, when I try to compile this file, what happens? It says class my app is public should be declared in a file named myapp.java. What is the file name? Relation op. These two are not same, so the compiler gives an error. What should I do? I can change the name of this class. Save it, and now when I run it, it compiles. Got it? The file name should be same as the class name. Now let's take it two variables, int var1, which is what, 10, and take another var variable var2 as 10, a var3 as 13, right? Now let's say I want to check whether if var1 is equal to var2. Now what am I doing? This is what I am doing. To store 10 in var1, I am using this assignment operator. It's called assignment operator. So what does it say? Save 10 in var1. Now if I have to check if var1 is equal to var2, what do? I put double equal to. I put double equal to. What does double equal to do? It compares if var1 is equal to var2. So I run it. If var1 is equal to, it should be is var1 equal to var2? What is the answer? What is the answer? It says true. It says true. Var1 is 10. Var2 is also 10. So what if I check var1 is equal to var3? What should it say? It should say false. It says false. Why? Var1 is 10. What is var3? 13. They are not equal. So it says var1 is not equal to var13. Similarly, there is a not equal to check if two variables are not equal. So I simply say system.out println var1 is not equal to var2. This statement is true or not equal. It's very intuitive. Var1 is 10, var2 is 10. They are equal. What I am asking, check if they are not equal. What will it say? It will say false. Var1 is not equal to var2 is the statement is false because they both are equal. They both are equal. Now let's look at greater than. So var1 is var1 is greater than var1. 13 is greater than 10. var3 is greater than var1. What is this? What will happen now? var1 is var3 greater than var1. It is true. It will say true. var3 is greater than var1. Now let's look at another example. var2 is greater than var1. Is this statement true or false? var2 is nothing but var2 is what? var2 is 10. What is var1? So this becomes 10 is greater than 10. Is it true or false? Think about it. 10 greater than 10. It's false. Why? Because they are equal. What will happen? False. var2 is not greater than var1. What is the next statement? Less than. So if I say var1, which is 10, is less than var3. Thirteen is less than 10. So this statement should be true. var1 is less than var3. Java says it is true. Now let's look at this statement. Where 2 is greater than where 1, right? This was false. 10 is not greater than 10. Then what is it? 10 is equal to 10. So can we say system.out.println where 1 is greater than equal to where 2? So I simply say either where 1 is greater than or equal to where 2, right? Meaning either it should be greater than, it should be bigger than var 2 or it should be equal to var 2. One of the statements should be true. One of the statements should be true. So var 1 is less than equal to, did not save it. Var 1 is greater than or equal to var true. It is true. 10 is equal to 10. So greater than is false but equal to is true and it becomes equal. So these covers are relational operators. What are logical operators? So right now we saw there are two possibilities. Either something can be greater than or equal to something. So what if they are equal to? How do I combine two particular statements? Right. So let's look at a small table first. So if I say I am at home right now, right? I am at home. Hmm. If I do my homework, so let's say this is you. This is you. Student. This is what? Job. Looking for a job? Every student is looking for a job. Now, this is learn Java, right? And this is learn Python, right? Now, a student who has learned Java can also get a job. Students who learned Python can also get a job. So, in order for a student to get a job, only one of these conditions should be true. That he was sitting in a college, he learned Java and then he got a job, or he learned Python or he got a job. He can do both also and get a job, right? So we can say student either learned Java and got a job or he learned Python and got the job, right? But so this is an example of or. Similarly, if we look at this, if we look at this, Now now student to get a job, he should pass all the exams, pass all the exams and also learn Java. So for a student to get to the job, he has to pass all the exams and also learn Java. Only if he does both will he get a job. Understood? Only if he passes all the exam and learn Java, then he will get a job. This is an example for and. Is it clear? Student can either learn Java or Python and get a job. Student has to pass all the exams and learn Java to get a job. Now let's look at certain examples for this as well. 1 minute, let me clear out everything. Let's look at certain examples for this. So let's take two variables, int where 1 is equal to 10, int where 2 is equal to 15, int where 3 is equal to 20. Okay. Now if I say system where 3 is greater than, okay, I already have where 1, where 2, 6. Where 6 is greater than where 5 and where 5 is greater than where 4. How do I write this in Java? Where 6 is greater than where 5, right? Where 6 is greater than where 5. We just saw how we do write relational operator and greater than, like this. And this and computer science Java we write and like this. And where 5 is greater than where 4. Are both the statements true? Where 6 greater than where 5? 20 greater than 15? Yes. Where 5 greater than where 4? Yes. Meaning this is also true and this is also true. What does happens now? The final output will be true. The final output is true. Let's look at another example. Sum dot 6 is greater than where 5 and where 4 is greater than where 6. Now, what am I saying now? Where 6 is greater than where 5, and how do we write and? Double emphasis. Where 4 is greater than where 6. Okay. Where 5 is greater than where 6. Right? Now, where 6 is 20 greater than 15, true. And where 4 is nothing but 10. It's greater than where 15, where 6 20. No, this should be false. This should be false. Got it? What is the next thing now? Or. What is or now? So let's look at this. Same example. Where 6 is greater than where 5, or where 4 is greater than where 6. How do we write this? Where 6 is greater than where 5. Where 6 is greater than where 5. Or how do we write or? Or like this. Or where 4 is greater than where 6. Got it? So what will happen now? Where 6 is greater than where 5? Yes. So we just saw now, we have taken one path. For or, only one condition should be true to get a job. So this condition is true. So this becomes true. Even when this is not correct, it is still true. Only one condition needs to be satisfied. Got it? Is this clear? Even though where 4 is not greater than where 6, it is still true. It is still true. Now, what is this not? What happens with not? So we just saw this is true, right? So if I simply place this operator ahead of this, what was this now? This was true. So I simply copy this statement and I place a not operator in front of them. What happens? It reverses the value. What will it do? It will reverse the value. So this was true and it changed it to false. So this was true. We just saw for or only one condition should be satisfied. So if outside, if for the answer, if I write not, it changes it to the opposite value. So if it's true, this was true, it made it false. If it was false, it will make it true. Got it? If it's false, it makes it true. If it's true, it makes it false. Okay. So assignment operators. So let's say we have a variable 7, variable a which is equal to 10, b which is equal to 20, c which is equal to 30. Now what if I want to add, I want to do something like this. A, I want to increment a by 5, right? I want to increment a by 5. How do I do it? A is equal to a plus 5, right? And then I print the value of a value is a. What happens now? A value is 15. A was 10. We wrote a is equal to a plus 15. The value of a became 10 plus 5, 15. So now can I write this as like this? I can also write this as like this: a plus equal to 5. Instead of writing this, I can write it like this. This means this is equivalent to a is equal to a plus 5, right? What was the previous value when we did a equal to a plus 5? What was the previous value? It was 15. Now what is the value again? Same value, 15. Earlier was also 15. Now it is also 15. So a plus equal to 5 is nothing but a is equal to a plus 5. A is equal to a plus 5. Now if I again do a minus equal to 5 is nothing but a is equal to a minus 5. What will be the output? Let's take B so you don't get confused. B value is B value is B is equal to B value was 20. 20 minus 5 is 15. So let's do minus 20 now. What will it become? B is equal to B minus 20. The value of B will be 0. Value of B is 0. Understood? Similarly, we can do it for all the other things. Multiplication, this will become A divided equal to B is A is equal to A divided by B. Do the operation and store it in the first variable. Got it? So now what are data types? Right? What are data types? What are data types in Java and what is their purpose? So in Java, we have been looking at, a lot of things for now. So we have been looking at how to allocate, how do we declare variables, what is the use of a variable, what are literals and everything. But every possible thing, right? So what do we have? We have alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We can form words with those alphabets, right? When you write A, B, C, D in your notebook, every alphabet takes some space, right? If you write a bigger word like Java, it will take more space than an alphabet, right? So how do we tell the computer how much space do we need to store this variable, and what kind of a variable will it be? So how do we tell the computer how much space do we need, right? So data types tell the compiler two things. So what kind of a literal or a constant value will be saved in the variable? Will it be an integer like 1, 2, 3, or will it be a character like ABCD, or will it be a boolean value? What are boolean values? True or false? These are the data types. For now, we'll look at this in a while. For now, let's look at the three types that we already seen: int and boolean. So these are all integers. We are telling the compiler, hey, this variable is of type int. This variable is of type int, right? So we will store an integer. So you be prepared to accept integer values in this variable. Is that okay? Be prepared to store the variables. So what happens now? Now we have completed this. What does it become? Data type, variable, variable name equal to literal or some value, right? This translates to this. So data type tells the compiler two things: what kind of value will be saved in that variable, and how much memory do we need to store that kind of variable. Got it? So let's look at what are the different types of variables. So byte, okay. So Java has 8 different types of variables, predefined variables, like which are called byte, short, integer, long, float, double, boolean, and character, right? So they are called native data types, right? So what is a byte? Byte is basically the smallest data type available in Java. What does it store? It stores integers. So the maximum value for a byte is 127. So if I write 128, what will happen? I cannot assign 128 to a byte. Let's try it out. What happens? Let's name a data type.java. What we will do now? Public class data types. Name should be same as the file name minus dot java. So now what will we do? We look at byte. Byte is equal to 20. System dot out dot println System dot out dot println A is 20, right? For Java, A is 20. Now, what is the maximum value of a byte? 127. So what happens if I put 128 in byte? What will happen? What do you think should happen when we put 127 in a byte? See, it says incompatible type. It has increased the maximum limit. So if you want to store integers that are greater than 127, we use something else. What can we use? Short. What can we use? Short. So what is the maximum value you can store in short? Is 32767. Byte, short, integer. They're all supposed to store numbers, right? We store numbers. So, but what varies? The largest and the smallest number that we can store decides which type of data type we should use. So, now let's see. Byte gave an error. Byte cannot store values larger than 127. It gives an error. So now if I do the same thing with short, a is equal to 128, right? Now this should, what should happen now? Should it work? See, it worked. A is 20. I did not save it. Kya? Save it. What was the issue? Oh, A is 128. Now what is the maximum value for a short? 32767. Let's try assigning the higher value for short. 32767. Let's assign 768. Now what should happen? Again we should see an error. 32768 is greater than the maximum value that we can store in a short. So short cannot store values greater than 32767. Cannot store values greater than 32767. So what do we use next? What is the highest next bigger number? Integer. Now integer has a very big range and we normally use integer to store the values. So let's take a big number. Too large, right? So this is not too large for integer. So for a bigger number we take integer. Now what if we want to store a number bigger than an integer? We move on to long. We move on to long. So let's look at it. So this number cannot be stored in an integer. Integer is short. Integer cannot store the above
number. So we take a long is equal to 3131 Okay. Now what happens when we take this as long? Okay, this is saved here. Okay. So we take a bigger number and we save it here. A long number we generally notify with the L at the end. The L at the end. Right? Now, apart from normal integers, what are integers? 1, 2, 3, any number without a decimal value. We also want to store decimal values, decimal numbers, right? So, for that we have two data types. What are those? Float and double. What are the two things? Float and double. What is float? Float, double, right? So, float A is equal to 32.3432, right? And similarly we say system dot out dot println A right. So for storing decimal numbers we use float. Mhm. Okay. So for storing these two numbers we have float and double, right? So what are the remaining two things? What are the remaining two things that we have? We have a boolean and a character. So what is a boolean? So right now we saw in the previous program we saw we had two numbers where 1 to 10 and where 2 equal to 10, let's say. So we can take a boolean variable where 3 which can store the result is where 1 equal to where 2. What will be the answer for this? The answer will be true. The answer will be true. And what will, where will it be saved? In where 3. So let's do stum dot println where 3 is equal to 2, 3. Boolean value. What is Boolean? True or false. There are only two possible Boolean values. Either true or false. Right? What is the size for this? 1 bit. Size for a byte is 1 byte. Size for a short is 2 bytes. Size of integer is 4 bytes. Size of long 8. Float and double used for storing decimals. 4 bytes and 8 bytes. Boolean is used for storing true or false. Size is only 1 bit. What is a character now? Let's see. Character. Character can store one alphabet. So character X is equal to A. It can only store one alphabet. X is equal to, what is X equal to? X. So X is equal to A. So we have the following data types. For storing numbers, we have four options: byte, short, int, and long. These, so remember, these are important interview topics. What is byte? Byte is used to store integers to the range of -128 to 127. Size of byte is 1 byte. The maximum value you can store in a byte is 127. The minimum is -128. Short. What is short? Size of short is 2 bytes. The minimum value you can store in short is -32768. The maximum value you can store is 32767. Integer. What are integers used for? Obviously, by the name, used for storing integers. The size of this is 4 bytes. Don't have to learn this, right? We'll look at an interesting technique to remember all this. Long is 64 bits or 8 bytes. It is the longest variable for storing really long integer values. For storing decimal values, we have 2, float, and double. Size of float is 4 bytes. Size of double is 8 bytes. Then for storing boolean, that is true or false, we have boolean variable. Size of boolean is 1 bit. For storing characters, we have a 2-byte variable called char, which only stores one alphabet. It only stores one alphabet. We looked at char example, we looked at integer example, double, long, byte, short, int, right? Is there any doubt till now? Is there any doubt? Any questions? Is there any questions? Okay, then we'll stop here now.